a solemn responsibility to try and hold Donald Trump accountable for the most serious charges ever levied against a president.
Like every one of you, I was evacuated as this violent mob stormed the Capitol's gates.
If that's not an impeachable offense, then there is no such thing.
I believe the managers will present a very strong case. The evidence will be powerful.
What you are about to hear has not been made public before.
I particularly urge my Republican colleagues to pay very real attention to the evidence here.
President Trump left everyone in this Capitol for dead.
It's Tuesday morning on Capitol Hill. Almost 3 weeks after he left office, Donald J. Trump's second impeachment trial is about to begin.
We are starting the trial today. We are back 1 year plus 4 days to the moment and about to be starting impeachment trial number 2. I think the one big question that remains unresolved at this point is what's going to happen with witnesses. At this point, no one is expecting.
Well, here, it got resolved, okay? I'm going to skip through some of the early stages of this where they recap the events and stuff. But what we basically got to this past weekend and leading up to this past weekend was the final stages, okay? On Friday, they delivered their final remarks. And in the aftermath of the final stages, there was a call to bring forward witnesses. Now, the main person with the incredible monk bowl cut, I'm forgetting his name now. Holy shit! The impeachment manager said that Jamie Raskin, thank you, said that Donald Trump should stand in trial as a witness if you want to bring up witnesses. But the defense team basically retaliated with the most insane things you've ever heard of, including the same guy who had originally, the ambulance chasing lawyer, who originally had even sued Donald Trump in the past, saying things like, if we are going to have witnesses, we are going to abuse the witness system, and we're going to have hundreds of witnesses. And to that, the Democrats basically conceded and said, okay, never mind. We're just going to have one witness's testimony on the record, and then that's it. Yeah, horrible legal process. It's easy to say, oh, Democrats fucking folded so easily. What the fuck are you doing? But I think the counter to that is, and I'm not even running defense for Democrats here, because I do think that the trial should have gone a little bit further. If you're going to start a trial, you need to at least try to win the trial. You can't just like start a trial and then stop it. Hey, by the way, yeah, I'm banning. Happening is what ended up happening with the impeachment is that they folded, but it wasn't necessarily a huge fold because I don't know how long the Republicans wanted to run the clock on this. And I see both sides of the argument, so I'm going to hit you with a fucking both sides in this situation. I personally think it should have gone a little bit further. Because that way you would have time to at least apply pressure strategically. And beyond that, the real reason why they wanted to shut this immediately was so that they could continue with the stimulus, with the stimmies, the $1.9 trillion COVID recovery bill that they're trying to push forward through the budget reconciliation. And Mitch McConnell would have utilized this as an opportunity to not do that, right? Mitch McConnell was going to use this to stop that from going forward. But then they went on fucking recess, which is idiotic as fuck. So, again, like, that's yet another week of being able to push for more evidence as to what was going on. I think ultimately, no matter what, from the Democrats' point of view, Republicans were not going to get on board. Enough Republicans were not going to vote for it. The further you get away from the actual act itself, the less likely it was going to be for Republicans to get on board with, impeaching Donald Trump. And they played their hand, and they decided to leave it up to the Republican Party internally to deal with this issue, rather than excising Donald Trump and then saying, Republicans are good. We need a strong Republican Party. Look at all the good Republicans that did the right thing versus Donald Trump, who is the wrong thing and the only wrong person in the Republican Party. So instead of doing that, which was an olive branch from the Democrats to the Republicans, they were like, all right, fuck it. Let them do it on their own. 67 votes was not happening. Yeah, I don't disagree. And you see that because the Republicans that voted to impeach Donald Trump, to convict Donald Trump, there were 7 of them. They were either all like very publicly anti-Donald Trump and had criticized him before, had safe seats because they had just won their reelection, or they were retiring. So there was no threat like of it wasn't because they found their conscience. It was just that they didn't give a shit. Okay, they were not going to suffer the repercussions of like being against Donald Trump because, and I've been saying this since day one, since before Donald Trump even became the president, that Donald Trump is the Republican Party. He represents the base better in a lot of ways than the elitist Mitt Romneys of the world represent the base. Okay, Mitt Romney is an old school Republican. He is the free market Republican. Okay, he's the deregulation Republican. Donald Trump is the free market and deregulation Republican that does a better job making sure that the interests of the actual Republican voters, the poor Republicans who fucking go out and vote, are represented. And those interests are, and I hate to do this, I actually don't hate to do this actually, it's just fucking, it's just racism. It's just culture war, petty grievances, saying the fucking quiet part out loud, and winning favor within the Republican base that way. And he was so effective at it that the entire Republican Party is afraid of going against him. And what did the Republican Party do? Well, North Carolina GOP actually voted, I don't think they actually ended up voting, but they are voting to censure Burr, for example. Because of his vote against Donald Trump, they are censuring him. They are punishing those who voted to impeach Donald Trump. That is what the Republican Party is. Okay, that's just the reality. Sorry. Let's keep going.
Expecting there to be any witnesses in this trial, but House managers.
Yeah, Pat Toomey is getting censured by PA state Republicans as well.
Say they want to call all the way up to the president. Now the problem is that the Senate would have to actually back any sort of a summons to bring anybody in to testify. That does not seem likely, but it is still possible.
The House impeachment managers, led by Representative Jamie Raskin, make their way to the Senate floor. The Democrats open their presentation with a powerful 13-minute video outlining the events of January 6th.
Okay, we're skipping this part.
And I heard
The impeachment trial, and our reporting shows that he was quite displeased by his lawyer's performance.
Another lawyer, David Schoen, picks things up. His argument holds that the House investigated too quickly, but also that the impeachment becomes moot once the president leaves office.
Ironically, this is also Mitch McConnell's take as well, which we are going to be watching in a moment. If it's not in this video, I would love to hear Mitch McConnell's closing arguments on Donald Trump. So remember, Mitch McConnell is the reason why the impeachment trial to convict Donald Trump in the Senate happened after Donald Trump's presidency. Like, he could have tried to whip to get this procedure started in January, and they didn't do that. He didn't do that because he wanted to give a comfortable out to the rest of the Republicans in the Senate to say, well, this is, yeah, he's bad, and we know he's bad, but we can't impeach him because it's unconstitutional. It is ridiculous.
It is a clear denial of due process and fair trial rights for private citizen Trump to face an impeachment trial. The impeachment article should be treated as a nullity and dismissed based on the total lack of due process in the House.
Senators vote to continue with the trial, saying it is constitutional, picking up one extra Republican from a similar vote 2 weeks earlier.
As an impartial juror, I'm going to vote for the side that did the good job.
So it's day 2 of the trial now. That means it is day 1 of seeing the full case that the House managers are going to put on.
the evidence will show you that ex-President Trump was no innocent bystander.
He truly made his base believe that the only way he could lose was if the election was rigged.
This was the save the date, sent out 18 days before the event on January 6th.
The managers spend the early afternoon connecting Trump to the riot.
He had every reason to know that they were armed, that they were violent, and that they would actually fight.
Then Raskin delivers a warning.
I do want.
Why was there not impartial juror for the trial? What? It's the Senate, dog. What do you mean? It's an impeachment. What do you mean an impartial juror? The Senate, in theory, or Congress in general, in theory, is supposed to be impartial. They should be partial only to the Constitution. Their job is to uphold the oath to the Constitution. So technically, they're all supposed to be completely unbiased in this argument. That has never happened, and it will never fucking happen. And it's idiotic to assume that it's going to happen. And these people are all fucking liars, and of course they're going to vote along party lines, and they did. But that is the impartial fucking check and balance that the Congress is supposed to provide to the executive office. You know, 101 government shit. That does not happen, though, because they're all corrupt assholes.
I want to alert everyone that there is some very graphic, violent footage coming, just so people are aware.
Okay, all right, whatever. All right, let's keep going.
I wasn't fully aware of everything else that was happening in the building, and just the total awareness of that, the enormity of this, the threat, not just to us as people, as lawmakers, but the threat to...
I watched some this morning.
The more glorious in the end will be our victory.
We're not expecting Trump's team to take as long, but they have to undo all the emotional mess that has been brought up to the surface in all these senators who've been watching. If the senators who have been watching, who are feeling completely torn up about what they saw and yet completely not comfortable with the idea of convicting the president on it, if they are looking for an excuse, they're just going to be listening for whatever words drop out of the Trump lawyers' mouths that give them that answer. They don't have as cohesive a GOP bloc as they thought they did going in. They have to keep together who they have.
I think I'll just say this much, okay? I think that everything that we saw this past these past 2 weeks, or this past week basically, was expected, right? You expect Republicans to behave this way, except for one thing. And this is not a joke. This might come across like a joke, but I'm not kidding. And that is Theodore Jebediah Cruz's haircut. This is probably the worst thing I've ever seen in a week of horrible politics. Because honestly, I have lost sleep for the past week. I've lost sleep thinking about this haircut, which I believe is inspired by this haircut, but not as cool as this haircut. This is the most disgusting thing that the Republicans did this past week, on a week where they defended Donald Trump after criticizing him lightly and gently. Bro, that's a Texas stable. It's called the South Dallas Shag. Motherfucker Ted Cruz, drippy son, get off my mans. It's like, leave it up to Ted Cruz to really constantly one-up himself as the grossest person in Congress. You know what I mean? Like, that's a title that he will hold on to as long as he is alive, I think. My guy wanted barbershops to reopen to get that abomination. There's nothing else I need to say. He has a literal fucking Aang style, like he has the Aang arrow on the side of his head, dude. What are you, a fucking airbender? What are you doing? Did he go to those like Instagram barbers where they literally use a fucking ruler to do your fade? He almost has turf bangs. Like, what the fuck happened? It's just devastating. Fight your stepdad. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. What a funny name. Fight your stepdad. This is a normal human being haircut. Ted Cruz researches human hairstyles thoroughly to maintain normal status. I don't know what he thought when he did this. I didn't know what he was thinking when he did the fucking when he did the beard. Ted Cruz is the only man on the planet to grow a beard out, like a full beard, and look worse. Because come on, as we boys know, you know, that's our cheat code. We grow a beard, it's like extra, we get better looking. It's like male makeup, you know what I mean? Ted Cruz is the only dude to look worse after growing a beard. As long as you can fully grow the beard, obviously. He was thinking about butter. He just told the barber to do what they want, and it was a white radical barber. I just don't know what the fuck was going on. Was he getting a haircut and then he heard about, like, he was getting a fucking haircut and he heard about the impeachment trial, so he was like, all right, we'll take this up later. I gotta be done now. Did James Marco St. Marco cut his hair? Like, what the fuck happened here? Like, this is the most... This is when you try... This is what happens, like, when your barber is too Caucasian, okay? But you want to try some new shit. That's what happened here. Someone back in Canada that this was a cool haircut in America. He was Googling haircuts that do not make you look like the Zodiac Killer. Anyway, so yeah. That's what the fuck Ted Cruz was going for, but I guess it didn't happen for him. Yeah, business on the front, insurrection in the back. Exactly. He literally walked in and said, fuck my shit up. He didn't know how to change it on his character creation screen. Lots of the Tory rugby boys in the UK have that Ted Cruz look at the moment. It's just very weird. It's like the Vikings haircut. You know the Vikings on History Channel? Where, like, they would just get this, like, aggressive fade that was, like, literally your entire head except for the front of it. Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you fade, like, one part and then just stop? It makes no fucking sense. Your boy Manny fuck I Sanchez about the South Dallas shag. Yeah, I know. What no pussy does to a motherfucker? Yeah, true. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about that. I want to take a moment to just like talk about the worst thing that happened, but we'll continue with the fucking impeachment. But before we do, it is top of the hour. So let's get back to it.
It's a bitterly cold day in Washington, and Trump's lawyers start their arguments.
So we're expecting Trump's team to basically make the argument that what happened on January 6th was a terrible, awful, tragic thing, but that it's not the president's fault. It is striking how many Republicans who seem committed to vote to acquit are also saying that they found the House manager's case extremely compelling.
Throughout the course of today, my colleagues and I will explain in some detail the simple fact that President Trump did not incite the horrific, terrible riots of January 6th.
And Mr. Trump's speech deserves full protection under the First Amendment. This case, unfortunately, is about political hatred.
The defense lawyers repeatedly claim that House managers manipulated evidence and selectively edited quotes.
This hatred has led the House managers to manipulate and selectively edit Mr. Trump's speech.
They manipulated video, time-shifting clips, and made it...
Which is why our defense is going to consist of, like, extra manipulated videos. Videos that literally fucking say the exact opposite thing that that the person is saying. Like the Madonna one, for example. Like, which is wonderful. The wonderful part about this was, like, they're straight up were like, what we're gonna end up doing here is make fucking videos that are somehow worse. Like, they LSF clip chimped the shit out of this. You guys know all that. We already looked at that earlier this week, where they even use Madonna. They were like, oh, Madonna wants to fucking bomb the White House or something. When, like, straight up, immediately after that clip, Madonna's like, well, that wouldn't change anything. Violence wouldn't solve anything, so I would never do that, or some shit like that. And they just, like, clip out the part where it just says, like, I want to bomb the White House. Which, by the way, even if she literally was a terrorist and said that, would have absolutely nothing to do with the trial at hand, okay? This is an impeachment trial for Donald Trump. You can't just be like, well, other people say stuff all the time. Like, that doesn't mean anything, okay? Madonna's not the fucking president. We're not impeaching Madonna, so shut the fuck up.
It appear the president's words were playing to a crowd.
In total, they used less than 3 hours to argue that Trump should be acquitted.
Hold on.
So we have a complete lack of evidence for the article of impeachment presented by the House managers. So why are we here? Politics. Their goal is to eliminate a political opponent. Members of the Senate, this concludes the formal defense of the 45th President of the United States to the impeachment article filed by the House of Representatives.
And the Senate quickly moves to questioning each side on their arguments.
Mr. President, I send a question to the desk directed at both sides.
I send a question to the desk.
I send a question to the desk.
I send a question to the desk.
Senator Sanders has a question.
Are the prosecutors right when they claim that Trump was telling a big lie, or in your judgment, did Trump actually win the election?
The people had spoken, and it was time for the peaceful transfer of power.
In my judgment, it's irrelevant to the question before this body.
Senator Bill Cassidy raises a question on when President Trump knew of the danger to Vice President Pence.
I know he ended up voting, but I will never get over the fact that Bill Cassidy literally looks like Frankenstein's monster, like the animated Frankenstein's monster. I can never find it, the exact one, but he just straight up looks like an animated Frankenstein's monster. We're not going to find it. It's so sad, but we're just not going to find it. Let's keep going.
Question on when President Trump knew of the danger to Vice President Pence.
Does this show that President Trump was tolerant of the intimidation?
See you on Okay Buddy, bitch, where you fucking make a compilation of crying videos about how you didn't actually mean it, that you just wanted to make me laugh, and that, you know, it was so funny.
Of Vice President Pence.
I dispute the facts that are laid out in that question.
Abruptly, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calls for an end to the
fucking thin blue line.
The session and asks to award a Congressional Gold Medal to Capitol Police Officer Eugene Goodman.
Officer Goodman is in the chamber tonight. Officer Goodman, thank you.
We're done. We're done.
And the trial ends, picking up early Saturday morning with the expectation that it will conclude quickly.
Chat, when you said we're pathetic, help?
Closing
No.
arguments.
No, chat, when I say you're pathetic, is like, oh yeah, you think this is pathetic? Wait till I unlock my full potential. Okay? That's what happens. Every time I fucking yell at chat, they're like, haha, you've seen nothing yet, sir. You have no idea how fucking horrible we can be. Frankenstein is now a trending term with... Oh, great. No, it's not. Oh, interest over time.
expected today in the Senate trial of Donald Trump. Welcome to this Washington Post special report. I'm Libby Casey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Senators.
But lead impeachment manager Jamie Raskin.
Yeah, I should change my fucking shirt, dude. You are not being my little pog champ right now. It's not from Monster Family. I gotta stop. I gotta stop clicking fucking Frankenstein links.
Starts by asking to
We're
call
just not gonna
one
find
witness, Republican Representative Jamie Herrera Butler.
People asking for an unban, and like people in a coordinated effort, especially amongst the core audience of offliners who will now engage in a coordinated effort to unban, will also get banned as well subsequently. Don't even fuck with me. Don't start it. You're doing it. You're already doing it.
We would like
You're
the
derailing the
opportunity
stream.
to
Stop
subpoena
derailing the
Congresswoman
stream.
Herrera regarding her communications with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, and to subpoena her contemporaneous notes that she made regarding what President Trump told Kevin McCarthy in the middle of the insurrection. We would be prepared to proceed by Zoom deposition of an hour or less.
Not by Zoom. None of these depositions should be done.
This is the best part. Here comes the best part where you realize that, like, oh, they're very good at, okay, guys, stop. I need to stop clicking on these fucking stupid links. I'm losing my mind. This is the part during the impeachment where you recognize that, like, they're fucking they're just trying to derail the process.
Done by Zoom. We didn't do this hearing by Zoom.
It's not this one.
These depositions should be done in person, in my office, in Philadelphia. That's where they should be done.
So the question we have before us is whether
I'm going to say Philadelphia.
There shall be an order to consider and debate under the rules of impeachment any motion to subpoena witnesses or documents. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Blunt, Merkley, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Murkowski, Murphy, Sanders, Sass, Romney, Rosen.
The motion is agreed to by a vote of 55 to 45.
The vote throws the day into chaos as senators figure out how to proceed.
PK, what can you tell us about what kind of a surprise this may have been to members of this Senate jury?
Nobody, this was a totally organic moment. The Democrats went into the floor today expecting to not even vote on witnesses, to have a motion that would go straight to closing arguments.
If you do nothing following this, then what was that vote that we just watched this morning?
And nobody knows what the next steps are in this process.
Eventually, a deal to move on quickly is struck. Herrera Butler's statement is submitted for the record.
The managers are prepared to enter into the agreement. I will now read the statement. This is the statement of Congresswoman Jamie Herrera Butler, February 12, 2021. That's when, according to McCarthy, the president said, "Well, Kevin, I guess these people are more upset about the election than you are."
So that's like pretty fucked up. It's kind of like a mob boss. Like that conversation taking place with one of the most powerful fucking Republicans is quite a ridiculous conversation to take place. Where he basically is saying like, oh, well, I guess they're just more mad than you are about the election outcome. Too bad.
Without objection, the statement will be admitted into evidence.
Then they move on
It's
to
not
closing
it,
arguments.
dude. Okay,
Though
why
it
are
is
you guys
difficult
like
to
trying
bear
to fucking
witness
speed run into
and face
getting
the
banned?
reality of what happened in these halls?
Yeah, dude.
What?
It's voodoo Vince, dude. You got it. It's this, okay? Are you happy? Are you happy? You derailed it. You got your fucking you got heard, okay? You got heard. Everybody saw it. You're really funny. You're the funniest person on stream, dude. Congratulations, dude. Congratulations for being so fucking funny that you made the same exact fucking joke every single fucking person has done 1,100 times before you, to the degree that I'm like actually fucking banning people. Okay? Good job. You won, dude. You won.
What happens if we don't confront these facts? What happens if there is no accountability?
And I believe that this body can rise to the occasion once again today by convicting President Trump, defending our republic.
to believe, based on the evidence you have seen, that Mr. Trump actually wanted and indeed willfully incited an armed insurrection to overthrow the U.S. government.
You did this to yourself? No, I didn't.
Mr. Brown, guilty. Mr. Durbin. Mr. Burr, guilty.
In just under a week, the second impeachment trial of the former president reaches its expected conclusion.
Donald John Trump, former President of the United States, is not guilty as charged in the article of impeachment.
Trump is acquitted. However, 7 Republicans joined Democrats in supporting conviction, bringing the final vote to 57 in favor to 43 against. While falling short of the 2/3 majority needed, it is the most bipartisan vote on conviction of a president in U.S. history.
There's no question that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. But in this case, the question is moot because former President Trump is constitutionally not eligible for conviction.
Oh, these cowardly senators who couldn't face up to what the president did and what was at stake for our country are now going to have a chance to give a little slap on the wrist. We censure people for using stationery for the wrong purpose. We don't censure people for inciting insurrection that kills people in the country.
She said Mitch McConnell was a pathetic. What did she say? She actually went off. What's so bad about McConnell's BS excuse is that literally no one will see a statement that he's 100% guilty. They'll just see the acquittal. Yeah. She called Mitch McConnell pathetic. A pathetic coward, which doesn't mean anything, but it's like, I guess, aggressive for someone like Nancy Pelosi. So, this didn't actually show the parts of the impeachment that I wanted to show, which was, it showed the Philadelphia part. That's pretty funny. So what basically ended up happening is, in order not to extend this process to an unmanageable and ridiculous point that the lawyers were literally arguing for, by saying, oh, we're going to bring hundreds of witnesses then, and we're not going to do the witnesses by Zoom. We're actually going to do the witnesses in person in Philadelphia in my office. Ironic, because that same fucking injury lawyer, that personal injury lawyer, that ambulance chaser motherfucker is literally the guy who had originally sued Donald Trump for his statements about the election being fraudulent. So what the gamble that the Democrats made in that circumstance was, all right, we can't do this. We can't have hundreds of witnesses and like prolong this trial to a degree that is unmanageable and have Republicans used as a weapon against us to not do anything because it's like built-in obstruction basically. So we're just going to make a bullshit compromise. We're going to have like some of the statements written on the record, but the problem is, the problem is like you didn't make an argument. You didn't make an argument for why you should impeach Donald Trump beyond like all the stuff that we knew already, and you certainly didn't stress the importance of why we should impeach Donald Trump to the American people, so that the American people then could say, yeah, it's kind of worthwhile to impeach Donald Trump. It's pretty crazy. So what is another problem here is that so many Republicans are just terrified of Donald Trump and Donald Trump's fans. And they're not just like regular voters, they are fans. So it became a time waste for no reason. But the most dangerous part about this is if you truly care about the precedent and the Constitution, the constitutionality of the actions that Donald Trump had taken, the moment that you start an impeachment process, as Nancy Pelosi had in the House, you have to follow through on it to completion. You can't just half-ass it because now it is actually precedent. Now, Donald Trump's actions and his acquittal is actually precedent. So Republicans basically created precedent for future Republicans and even Democrats, if they want to use it, where the president can do whatever the fuck he wants. in the last month of his presidency in a lame duck session because there simply isn't going to be enough time to impeach them. Or they can do whatever the fuck they want as long as they resign afterwards. Like, that is an insane precedent to state. And the only person on the Republican side that I heard make this argument was Burr from North Carolina. And that's why he was like, yeah, I have to vote to impeach him. So now, all we have is yet another precedent that Republicans can use in the future to say, well, you know, Donald Trump didn't get fucking impeached. So this next, you know, President Cannibal Hitler, who did the beer hall push, should not be impeached because he resigned right after. If there is one in the future, I'm saying. So, it's terrible. Oh, I'm sure not one Democrat thinking the same thing. I'm sure some Democrats are aware of that. It wasn't an argument made all that much, though. It wasn't an argument that I heard a lot. So the worst part about it is, as Delayed Autistic Guppy is pointing out, and that's what I was going to show. Does anyone have Mitch McConnell's take? His final statements? Because I want to go to that really quickly. The ridiculous fucking thing that he said was that where is it? No, not the 20-minute speech. There's a small part of it here. This is
yeas are 57.
Here.
And instructions of their president. But in this case, the question is moot because former President Trump is constitutionally not eligible for conviction. I believe the best...
This is wait, hold on. Let's start with the actual take. Sorry, here.
That President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day.
President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day with his rhetoric. Okay, so that's one.
No
He's
question
admitting
about
it. No question about it.
The people who stormed this building believed they were acting on the wishes and instructions of their president. But in this case, the question is moot because former President Trump is constitutionally not eligible for conviction. I believe the best constitutional reading shows that Article 2, Section 4 exhausts the set of persons who can legitimately be impeached, tried, or convicted. It's the president, it's the vice president, and civil officers.
When this distinguished group of...
So Mitch McConnell basically said, I'm voting to acquit because it's unconstitutional to impeach someone after their term has run out. But Mitch McConnell is the literal reason why they had to do this in the Senate after Donald Trump was no longer president, because he's the one who did not want to whip enough votes to get unanimous consent to continue on with the fucking impeachment processes. Or I don't even think you needed to fucking get unanimous consent. He's the one who pushed forward the Senate part of the conviction until after Donald Trump's term was over. So he is the fucking reason why this unconstitutional argument could even be used. And it's bullshit. It's not even unconstitutional. Well, now they can use it as though it's unconstitutional because now there is a precedent for it. In the past, prior to this, the precedent wasn't that it was fucking unconstitutional, that it was perfectly constitutional to impeach a president or just any member of Congress after they were done with their service. Okay? Great. Good stuff. Not members of Congress? No, fucking everyone. Everyone. Also, he was outvoted on constitutionality, so he just admitted that he voted on conviction under false pretenses. Why do you say that? Has that happened before? Yes, it has happened before. What makes it unconstitutional? Because people voted against it? No. It's not whether it's constitutional or unconstitutional. It is precedent. Okay? So, basically, all of this is a game, is a back and forth game where Republicans are acting out their ideological desires for their long-standing ideological points for their party versus Democrats doing the exact same thing. They look to things that are happening in the past, okay? Precedent, as like, this has happened before. The interpretation of the Constitution is applicable here and also has happened in the past where a person has been impeached after they resigned. It's officers of the executive and judicial that can be. There is precedent against Congress, but that was established in a late impeachment that only held late impeachment could take place, not that Congress members could take place. Is that really how precedent works? I wouldn't think a lost vote would make a precedent to acquit in the future. No, now you have a more legitimate, a more solidified argument to establish precedent for the future. If a president does a similar thing that Donald Trump did, you can literally point back to exactly what happened in the fucking Senate this time around to say there's precedent for it. We acquitted, we functionally acquitted Donald Trump after we functionally acquitted Donald Trump on the grounds that he was no longer the president. So it doesn't matter. Precedent overall doesn't fucking matter anyway. It's just used as a talking point to justify your point of view. It's only political precedent. It's not legally binding. It doesn't matter that it's not legally binding, brother. We're talking about impeachment trials. And impeachment trials are completely political regardless. Do you not understand? So now in the future, you have, I guess you can call it whatever you want. You can call it the lame duck exception or the January exception or the Trump exception if you want to, where you can do whatever the fuck you want. And as long as your party backs you, and as long as your party's on your side and they delay the process, you can either resign or literally fucking continue until you're done with your term. And it's God mode, basically. Yes, the judiciary has no pardon over this. I have no power over this of this at all. I know. I'm talking about fucking Congress. Impeachment means nothing is not true. It is not true at all. Another weird thing about McConnell's speech is that he dangled the potential for Trump to be criminally liable outside the scope of impeachment. Yes. The reason it's based on precedent is also due to the fact that presidents can be impeached for crimes that aren't crimes for ordinary citizens, high crimes. Exactly. So each impeachment is a huge deal in terms of precedent as it sets a clear legal argument why said high crime isn't impeachable. Yes. Anyway, yeah, skip that comment. Yeah, it's called the President of the United States. It's called the President of the United States Gomer. Yeah, skip that comment. Yeah, your comment was moronic, but here, now that I didn't skip that comment, here's a 7-day fucking ban for you, okay? You fucking idiot. Are you happy? What's up, Austin? Yeah, you did a really good fucking job, dude. Chat must have missed your attention so much that they all went and made stocks to troll you once you got back or something. Chat's acting up today. Yeah, I think because I haven't been like covering politics all that much or all that closely for the past week, I think that like people literally have they had separation anxiety. Anyway, the damn start impeachment process, do you think they knew it would fail? If so, why did they push it though? Do they have the No, Democrats starting the impeachment process is understandable, dude. What are you going to do? Not fucking impeach? That would be even worse overall for them. Like, you can't fucking say Donald Trump is inciting violence and riots in this country that end up with like people dying and then not follow on a fucking impeachment process. So you're stuck in that. You're stuck in a bind there. Like, you have to fucking do that. You literally have to impeach 100%. It's ridiculous. Can you imagine? All the fucking same chatters would be ripping Nancy Pelosi a new asshole for understandable reasons if they didn't do anything. They were like, oh yeah, well, I guess we must look forward, not backwards. Like, are you crazy? Anyway, there are still ways to limit Donald Trump's potential run in the future. There is a way to I forget what the exact like legal argument is, but there's a criminal charge that you can apply to Donald Trump for inciting an incitement of insurrection to stop a constitutionally protected normal process of the Senate, which is exactly what Donald Trump did when they personally tried to stop what was happening. Specifically, personally tried to stop Mike Pence from voting to certify the Electoral College votes on January 6th. So, 14th Amendment, Article 2. So that... Wait, hold on. Let me look this up real quick. It's not. It's Section 3, I think. Yeah. Prohibits any person who had gone to war against the Union or given aid and comfort to the nation's enemies from running for federal state office unless Congress by 2/3 specifically permitted it. No, that's not. I don't think it's a... I don't know if it's the disqualification clause. I mean, look, there's a couple different ways that they can at least still try to stop Donald Trump from running again. But the most horrible thing is that precedent only matters when it favors Republicans. For example, Amy Covid Barrett, they ignored the President McConnell made during Obama's term. Yes, of course they did. Precedent doesn't fucking really actually matter. Do you really need a law to prevent someone who led an insurrection to become president? Yes, you do. And by the way, that's not the end all be all anyway. That's not the problem. The problems are much larger than that. There are structural issues that are the reason why someone like Donald Trump could even get this level of power and run the country in the way that he did that aren't getting solved. This is just another legal hurdle that you can put in front of the process to ensure that it doesn't happen again. But it doesn't mean anything because ultimately the larger problems are not being addressed. Okay? Mods, ban Pepe D, please. And also every single person that strikes because they're upset. Just, you can nuke it for now. You don't have to ban it, but you can nuke it. Thank you. Fucking morons, dude. Jesus Christ.
House managers were gathered on January 15th to deliver the article.
I warned you literally before the fucking stream started. You're going to do this, you're going to piss me off, and I'm going to fucking ban it.
Of impeachment we're told it could not be received because Mitch McConnell had shut down the Senate and was going to keep it shut down until the inauguration. So for him to get up there and make this indictment against the president and then say, but I can't vote for it because it's after the fact that he established that it could not be delivered before the inauguration. What we saw in that Senate today was a cowardly group of Republicans who apparently have no options because they were afraid to defend their job, respect the institution in which they served. Imagine that it would be vandalized in so many bad ways that I won't even go into here, and that they would not respect their institution. That the president of the Senate, Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence, was the chant, and they just dismissed that. Why? Because maybe they can't get another job. We censure people for using stationery for the wrong purpose. We don't censure people for inciting insurrection that kills people in the Capitol.
You're here.
Yeah.
It's nuts. That was actually a good take by Nancy Pelosi. Like, surprisingly so. It is insane. Hold on. Wish they were as passionate about that when it comes to the stimulus bill, LMAO. I mean, I think they're doing a decent job with pushing for the stimulus bill currently as it stands, so I don't know what else. At least Trump can now run again with a split Republican vote for a guaranteed Dem win. Dude, you're so fucking stupid if you think that the Republican vote is split. Okay? Donald Trump runs again, he wins again. I don't even know if he will run again. Like, that's the bargain. That's the gamble that the Democrats are engaging in right now. Schumer fucked it all up. The House impeachment managers wanted to put people on the stand and didn't care how long it took. Pelosi saw the danger this precedent set. And I wish the Senate Dems did too, but they cared more about their fucking recess this week. Senate can walk and chew gum at the same time and could have worked around the GOP blockage. I don't know. I think that they wouldn't have been able to work around the GOP blockage. And then we would be yelling at the fucking Senate Democrats for continuing on with this bullshit impeachment when we know that the Republicans are not going to fucking bend regardless. And now the stimmy is being held up. But the fact that they went on recess is so psychotic to me. Like, if you are cutting this short, if you're cutting this process short and not going forward with witnesses, right? Because you didn't want to call the bluff of the Republicans in that situation. Thank you, Don't Be a Tease, for the 20 tier 1 gift subs. If you didn't want to call Republicans bluff and you actually didn't want to sit there for, days on end, listening to witness after witness after witness after witness, and the Republicans were going to very clearly use that as a reason to prolong this process and then simultaneously use the prolonged impeachment process to say, look, the Democrats are fucking failures and they're losers. They can't even get you the, we finally have a bill, a COVID bill that we want to give to the people, and they're preventing you from getting it because they're so horny for impeaching Donald Trump, a person who's no longer president. That is a bargain. That is absolutely something that Democrats were thinking about in that situation. I'm sorry, but you have no idea how this works. The Senate would have had to vote for every witness they wanted to introduce, and each side would have been limited to the same amount of witnesses. The idea that it was because they did 310 witnesses is so dumb. No, of course they weren't going to have 310 witnesses, but they were still going to have a week-long, if not month-long process. There are ways that you can fucking delay the process as best as you can. And if that happened, that would delay the other side of the argument, which is the stimulus checks. Now, you can turn around and say the stimulus checks are not going to be coming anytime soon anyway, regardless. But ultimately, as the Iron Bun also points out, no amount of witnesses would have gotten 10 more Republican senators to support the impeachment. That was just not going to happen. The underappreciated maybe opportunity cost of not forcing witnesses is that Dems gave up an opportunity to throw a bomb in both chambers GOP caucuses. After the vote on evidence, Mitt Romney almost got in a fight with Ron Johnson on the floor, according to reporters. Think of how nuts it would have got if Herrera Butler had gone up and testified. Yeah, I think that if the goal was to, and Kevin McCarthy too, if your goal is to drop a bomb within the Republican Party, then getting actual fucking Republicans to speak out against Donald Trump and then have them still acquit Donald Trump of all the wrongdoings that led to the insurrection on January 6th is maximizing the potential damage that you're causing within the Republican Party. And they didn't want to do that. You wouldn't get a person to testify, though. You only get recorded series of messages. Am I right or wrong? Under oath doesn't mean shit, by the way, chat. Don't be ridiculous. And by the way, no one was trying to... Yes, I don't think that they were trying to convince the Senate GOP to vote. This was more about this was completely about what it was going to look like. This was more about what it was going to look like for the Senate Democrats. Ultimately, they should have had witnesses. They should have continued with the trial, had witnesses, and tried to limit it as best as possible. Because this argument isn't about winning over Republicans, but it's about winning over the American people. Okay? It's about winning over as many people, as many of the American people as possible to get them to see the reality of what had happened. Dems with the double standards, they can incite violence and unrest, but when Trump says go protest, they decide to put the fault on him, weirdos. I don't understand what you're saying. If you're saying that the Democrats are responsible for Black Lives Matter protests, then you're literally saying that the January 6th insurrection is directly Donald Trump's fault. Like, what is this double standard argument that you're making? That bullshit, they did it so we can do it too, kindergarten. Okay, but that comes with a fucking admission. You understand that, right? If one side is on trial and their argument is, well, the other side did it too, but the other side is not on trial, it doesn't fucking matter. You're basically admitting the thing that you're on trial for. And your defense shouldn't be, well, the other side did it too. Your defense should be that we didn't do anything. Not that, like, not for you to literally admit what you did and then say the other side did it too. That's not a fucking argument. Like, you can't use that as a defense. But as we saw, it didn't matter. You could have literal ambulance chasers defend you in the impeachment trial and still win, because Republicans are fucking demons anyway. They don't have any like moral conviction or anything like that. The problem with that argument is that both sides then should be held accountable. Dog! The court case is about an entirely separate thing, though. Or the impeachment is about an entirely separate thing. You can fucking talk about Madonna and Johnny Depp all you fucking want, okay? But Madonna and Johnny Depp aren't on trial right now. There is no like, oh, well, I don't care, both sides. Like, there is no, you can't do that. There is no both sides, Your Honor, in this circumstance or in any circumstance. It doesn't hold up in any fucking court of law, you dumb fuck. What? Like, can you imagine Can you fucking imagine? Yeah, I know I fucking murdered people, but so did other people. Why are they not getting convicted for it? Oh, okay. Never mind then. All right, I guess we have to let you go. We never... Fuck, man. We really hadn't considered this part of the argument. Fuck. Shit, dude. I'm so confused as to what to do, dude. Literally never convict anyone for crimes ever again, because there are people who have gotten away with it. You're right. I can't even fucking do that in Grand Theft Auto role-playing court. And here you are advocating for the National Republican Party to legitimately put that forward as an argument. Hasan learning for the first time that the arguments from brainless GOP cultists are not based in sound logic. Yeah, this is the first time I found that out. Thanks.